Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Ayo, Bono sick.
Welcome to what Bo knows and what Bo doesn't know. Welcome to the LOGJAM, Darren. How we doing?
I'm doing well. It's week 15 in the LOG, obviously season 5 of the LOGJAM. We do apologize. Let's just address it up front. We do apologize for a little bit of a layoff that 1 week. I think that might be the first week in 5 years that honestly we've missed.
Or at least in some kind of content. It was a tough week around Avalon Studios. A tough week in Surprise as well. So
Yes.
we apologize for that. Thanks for hanging with us. Hopefully we tied you over with Steve Kornwacki last week, but it's great to be back and it's great to be in the playoff time in the League of Gentlemen.
Yes, it is the, I guess at this point, last week into this week, as you heard, what is the scenario? What got us here? And now that we're in the playoffs and some of us are absolutely kind of out of things and others of us, might be running on a dream. So
yeah, not a great year for the LOGJAM cast and crew. We'll try to carry the torch for the rest of the year. But the scenario is that somehow Binter has fumbled his way up to the top. He's the number 1 seed. The Poway Titans are the 2 seed. They have the week off. And we've got 4 teams out of it and 4 teams playing for the championship.
It's, as far as I remember, this has been the jammiest of log jams I have seen in this league of the middle of the pack. We've always had maybe that 1 or 2 teams that kind of separate themselves, whether it's Corey's undefeated season, which we know how that ended. But whatever it may be, as we look through, this year seems to be, to me, the most kind of competitive.
Yeah.
For that's why a trade deadline you didn't see much action because people thought they were in it.
Everybody was in it. Yeah.
I really think it's been one of the most entertaining, competitive years of our league.
Yeah, it has been. It's been fantastic. It is sad that some teams, this is the end of the line. I love our league that they have to still go out and play for draft position and potential situations there. So everyone's in it. The waiver wire is hopping. Let's take a look at how we got here. Let's take at least a look at last week's games for how we're doing. We're going to click on the side there. And then last week's games, the swing games that Steve Kornwacki talked a little bit about. Zorro's Daddy, Fury Pimps, chalk all the way through. That first matchup, Zorro's 174, take care of the Daddies 135.
And this is a great matchup, if not because of the implications of the game of the week, because of the output. You have the number 2 scoring high point of the week versus the number 3 high point of the week. Great battle between these teams. Both of them, Joel trying to solidify maybe a better position in the playoffs.
Daddy fighting for his playoff
trying to get in for the playoff.
Man, a lot of misfortune
so
in
much fun
Daddy camp recently.
So much fun to watch.
3rd highest points this week, takes the loss, and therefore gets knocked out of the playoffs. Zorro's do it with, I guess, someone he would expect in Hurts and someone he would not expect. Jerry Jeudy scored 33 more points, I think, than he accumulated in weeks 2 through 6.
And from the Zorro's point of view, I have Cortland Sutton, so I understand that Denver Bronco offense. And to even, I guess if you're in the playoffs like the Zorro's were, it's not a big decision, but to even play Jerry Jeudy in that position, knowing that Russell Wilson and then I don't remember him scoring more than 20 points, 22 points in the entire year. So to get that output, great play.
It was a great play. There was a lot of good plays this week. There's a lot of good plays from a lot of teams, short-term, long-term. I think the conversation for GM of the year might start with the Zorros, but it doesn't in there. I think we have to take a long-term look at what maybe Steve has or hasn't done.
Sure.
You have to take a look at Poway, going from a non-playoff contender last year into the playoffs this year in a strong position all the way through and a great roster looking forward. I just think the one person you can include is I don't think Binter can be included in that conversation. Can he? I mean, he's 12-2. He has the best team.
Yes, and I think with Jamar, some of the keepers that Binter has are very strong. So I think his core is just really worked out for him.
Good enough that you can see through the first round to the 5
I think
draft.
strength of schedule has worked out for him. If you look at point total, You know, things have fallen the better's way the last couple of years, which is why I've sacrificed many animals on the altar to the fantasy gods. And I'm going to tell you, you know, there is no curse, there is no fantasy god, it's just us playing fantasy football because this is bullshit.
All right, on the other side, there are curses. I absolutely believe them. One of them is coming up. On the daddy side, Herbert and Mike Williams did enough to put you in position to win.
Sure.
The Kittle Etienne performances probably are where you're like, man, that was the end of it. But,
yeah, I mean, I think maybe, man, that's the end of it. But what about playing Josh Jacobs earlier in the year?
You do have to look back for Daddy 2 weeks ago. We didn't get to cover it on the Jam, but he's faced with a decision for the morning games. Josh Jacobs doubtful to play. Doesn't have a position where he has a later guy to start. And he goes with Etienne. Etienne's out after a couple of plays. It was misfortune, but 54 points on your bench.
Misfortune is a better analysis on that particular move because, of course, if you don't have somebody to follow up in the late games, you got to get a guy in the lineup. I think misfortune's a better term in that.
Yeah, we were talking about curses. I don't think it's the curse of Josh Jacobs. I think it's the curse of Donovan Peoples-Jones. There was some bravado for sure from Daddy. He starts on the eve or the day after the Michigan victory where I say, riding high, go blue, I get all these things. He starts Tom Brady.
Super hungover.
And he starts Donovan Peoples-Jones in a game he needs to win to get into the playoffs. He ends up not being in the playoffs. Adam Thielen and Justin Herbert would have been enough to make the playoffs. I think we can rue the Josh Jacob things, but the bravado shown in the Michigan start, I don't know.
Well, you know,
it has to at least be discussed a little bit.
I think that's exactly what it is. And any person with three names, like Donovan Peoples-Jones, usually is a sniper or a serial killer. And that's what happened here in the case for the Daddy.
It is.
Got him.
Unbelievable. Daddy not making the playoffs. Speaking of not making the playoffs, we do have to talk about the Pins.
Do we?
Losing to the Fury 107 to 98.
Do we have a sponsorship that says we have to?
I think following the course of what we knew for most of the last 5 years, we're covering last week's games. Fury comes in and gets really only Jamar Chase's 32, an unremarkable middle of the pack, and 0 from T. Higgins.
Yeah,
and 107's enough.
Yeah, 107's enough. It's embarrassing because I beat Benner earlier in the year. I'm one of these two losses is to my organization, and I thought for sure this week we were gonna get it done because I just didn't. But you know, it seems to be this weird thing where people score no points against him, and he puts up just enough to like get a first round bye and like.
The Pimps with 4 guys less than 10 points, almost nothing on the bench to speak of. Maybe the Deshaun Watson start. The fantasy gods might look down unfavorably, possibly on the rapist, legend rapist.
That is an angle, but at the same angle, had I started my other starting quarterback, Kyler Murray, he would have lasted 3 plays.
Yeah, no, it was the right play there. So it was unfortunately 18 was the high points, not enough to get it done. 98. And out of the playoffs. That is unfortunate.
It is.
The 2 games that we were calling the constants last week, the 2 games of the teams that were tied for the record, winner in ostensibly, loser out, depending on what happened. Merci and Young and the Avengers and the Scoregasms. In the first matchup, the Merci Boku take care of Young Confused 121 to 109.
This is what I'm going to say. We just talked about it in a couple matchups ago, but manager of the year from this half of the logjam table, it goes to Merci Beaucoup for me. It really does. The amount of injuries, the amount of dead trades, and moving this guy
but constantly roiling over, picking up guys. He has put together a roster enough to make the playoffs and pick up X amount of draft picks and draft capital going into next year.
He has a chip and a chair to play for the ship.
He does, which is an entire conversation I don't think we have time for on the pod. On Mercy's side, he gets 27 from Geno Smith. Again, 121 is not a great number. Young and Confused, Connor 23, Burrow 20, Debo Samuel with the injury, and that's probably the end of the playoff hopes.
As far as playoff hope is absolutely for him, it's the end. I think, there's going to be some reconstruction with Young and Confused as far as some keepers and Debo's health and different things. But again, 109 is way below the median average of winning a game, and Young and Confused is just going to have to battle for the blue balls this year, or they're trying not to refrain from such things.
Yes, absolutely. The other game, the Avengers end up knocking out Windy City Scoregasm 118-104, but don't necessarily knock the Scoregasms out of the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's probably not the intent fully, although that would have been a little icing on the cake. But yeah, Gary does back his way into the playoffs.
Either way, the math would have worked out. The loser of this game would have been the 6th place team.
Sure.
So it ends up for seeding. It ended up not mattering as the first 2 games worked out, but
it matters in the league history. To me, the fact that Gary's been in the league 3 years and he has made the playoffs all 3 years.
Yes, made the semifinals in 2020. Bowed out in the first round last year, but made the playoffs all 3 years. Something you can't say for a number of franchises in the league. It's
solid.
A nice performance there. He gets 28 from Mahomes and 32 from CMCs. It's basically 60, I guess, is the number there, and only gets 42 out of the rest of his roster. Not enough to get it done here, but it doesn't really matter. Avengers get 39 from Justin Jefferson, 23 from Josh Allen. And an encouraging 12.3 from Pacheco. The tight end curse, I think, is the story on the Avengers side. Cannot get points from tight ends. 0 burgers. Just incredibly bad Kyle Pitts kind of juju on the tight end position. The 2 stars, if you look a little bit further down the Scoregasm bench, J.K. Dobbins and Brandon Ayuk. There are a number of scenarios, 3 different combinations where those 2 guys starting are enough to win this game, but again, it does not matter for the playoffs. The last game, the Poway Titans hold on to that 2 seed. They get the very important bye. They take care of a team they should have beat, the Sin, 180-107.
And 180 in any week is a big number, but this week, of course, it's going to take home high points total and the money for the week.
It does.
In the last week of that.
Yeah, in what has been an incredibly tight race between a couple of teams here for high points. And you notice we don't point to the team on the top because they're 150 fucking points behind. But it's been a great week to come and put a stamp on it with 180. I'm going to buy. I take the high points money. I think that's a big statement going to the playoffs.
Absolutely. And again, he's going to, like you just said, he gets paid on the high point total of the year. He gets paid on the high point total of the week again. At this point, he's playing on house money.
All right. When we have the conversation about who does get GM of the year, we have to look at a season-long situation. But coming in and starting the unprecedented double dip of Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram, who's been on 19 rosters this year, both guys put up 42 points.
Solid.
Unbelievable.
Solid plug and play, right?
Yeah.
He's playing for a bye. He's in the playoffs either way. But that plug and play was huge for the Poway Titans. Great play.
It was 24 out of Eck, 24 out of just nice little numbers there. On the Sin side, I think the biggest note, he continues to play the Collard and Elliott combo with the icing on the cake of Dak in the starting position.
It's because he's a closet Cowboy fan.
I guess maybe, I don't know. He just loves the Cowboys. His lots are cast with the Cowboys this year.
Which is really nice because next year the Cowboys are coming to State Farm Stadium, so
Ooh.
Corey will feel like it's a home game.
Sorry, Corey. I don't know. Yeah. In fairness, I do, since we didn't get a pod, I did not get a chance. Said some things earlier in the year in the pod about potentially the worst roster of all time. I'm not necessarily backing away from them. I'm just acknowledging that it might have cost me a loss in week 14. It was a nice win. Congratulations. You deserved it. Probably my fault.
You know what else? In addition to Billy taking home the money for the high points total, Benner officially gets the high or the league win as far as
first place.
Season, so
both positions pay $100 plus a third of the fines. This year that happens to be $76. The other third going to most points against. A little bit of a cushion there for a guy that gets some tough luck. Ends up being Who's Your Daddy. Knocks him out of the playoffs. I know we were a little bit hard on them earlier in the show, but each of those guys taking home a nice amount of dough, most of which is Binters in the first place.
Yeah, so
A couple of missed meetings there.
buy a beer or something when you see him.
Part of me wants to change the rules. Like if you miss meetings, then you can't take fine money because you should be paying the other guys. But you won it fair and square. First place is first place.
Yes.
176, 176, and 76. That gets us to next week's playoffs, man. The most exciting time of the year.
Here we go.
What's the scenario? The buys, the first two of the year. Binters, Fury, Poway Titans. Take the week off, fellas.
Yeah, I will say that the last time the Poway Titans did have a first round bye, we spent some time in Miami, if you guys remember that. And
This is the 5-year anniversary of the trip
and
to
both
Miami.
franchises lost in the first round. So maybe Poway's playing it a little bit different this year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a cocaine and hookers for Poway this year. I think it'll be a, diaper, knickers, and...
Or maybe throw something else in, cocaine.
Or maybe you're not subtracting, you're adding. Possible. Lots of ways you can play that.
A lot of ways to
Fury,
attack the beast.
definitely going to be a cocaine and hookers kind of weekend. I would imagine not starting until well into the afternoon on any of those
1:30
days.
p.m.
Well, we'll see how they look when they come back. The Toilet Bowl, the teams like we talked about at the top of the show, playing for ultimately the first pick overall. And the loser of the Toilet Bowl in a 2-week grudge match ends up with the dreaded Blue Balls.
Yep. And as things play out, this is going to be the first year, because the first matchup that we're, as a daddy, and he's visiting the young cradle of his offspring in
Young and confused,
Young
certainly.
and C, and both teams 6-8.
Both teams 6-8. Both teams with 1,725 points on the year. Just 36 hundredths of a point separating them over the course of 14 weeks. It is mathematically crazy. Not to mention that for the third straight year, a Farrell will be playing for the Blue Balls.
Yes, and it'll either be Andrew for his second, or obviously Tom for his second in a row.
To 4 balls, just
back to
hanging.
back.
I think we have to get him in a second chain, don't we? Like if he already has the Blue Balls and he loses the Blue Balls, he has to get another set of Blue Balls. I don't know if that's.
There's going to be a vote.
There will be a vote on that for sure. The second game of the week, the Sin, 3-1, 5 years since they made the last playoffs.
How many?
5 years, I believe.
Well,
Taking on the Pit.
That's how long we've done this podcast. This is the 5th year.
Wow, speaking of curses, I wonder, are we?
I know Corey watches, or maybe he won't in the near future, but either way, we didn't mean bad juju. It's just,
In fairness, we did not send our staff, our crack data staff, to go back and look at the playoffs to see if you did make the playoffs 6 years ago, because that might not also be true. But if it's our fault, we apologize.
Yes.
We would consider, financial repercussions for maybe not doing the show next year. I don't know. You could maybe pay us off. We'll see.
I think you might be the only individual of all owners in the entire league that has actually never attended the podcast in person as well. I think that is fact.
I think
maybe that's the fucking curse, bitch.
Oh, wow, shots fired. I did not see that coming. That was not a show prep. Wow, okay. Well, I guess while we're here, we probably should predict the 2 games themselves. Are we going to do predictions this year, I guess?
Sure.
Something we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Who do you like in the Farrell Bowl?
In the Farrell Bowl, I'm going to take Daddy here. I think overall the team's been, a little bit better roster constructions, maybe a little less injury. But I'm going to take Daddy in a, don't make me pull this car to the side of the road match.
Well, I will also take the 36 hundredths of a point and take Daddy. I think he's learned his lesson with, playing guys because they're winning college football games or their alma maters do. I think he's going to win this one going away.
Well, that brings us to the Sin, which is, a matchup coming to Pimps. I'm going to take the Pimps here. I just feel strong that there's going to be some good matchups there, and we'll take care of the Sin.
All right. I don't see how, after all that has been said and done, I could possibly take the Sin. I think the Pimps win here and do it in style.
Well, in the actual matchups that really matter, the Windy City Scoregasms are traveling down south to Mexico to take on the Zorros. So who you got?
Zorros are the 3 seed, Windy City Scoregasms the 6th. I believe we had a sound effect. We didn't quite get it to the show, but there was a truck backing up. Beep, 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 beep. Windy City backing into the playoffs. It doesn't look like a roster to me that is super frisky. There's nice pieces, but Zorros to me, if assuming they get better odds than Benter and Darren do, Zorros might be the team that I would put my money on to win the Pajuma Bowl this year.
Well,
it's a good roster.
So you're taking the Zorros.
Taking the Zorros.
I've looked ahead into matchups. This is going to be a really close game.
Really?
Yeah. It's like probably 141 to 138. I mean, it is a really close game. It should come out as game of the week. I'm going to take the Windy City Scoregasm.
There he goes. I love it. I love it when we get on either side of a matchup. That bodes well. I hope it is a fantastic game. A game I hope it is not so good. The 7-7 Merci beaucoup traveling to the Avengers 7-7 and the 4 seed.
So Merci has really put together, like I've already told you, I think it's management material of the year, GM of the year. Unfortunately, it's playoff time, and certain roster constructions and athletes like Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson, and the roster that the actual Avengers have, I think, will win out here. I'm going to take the Avengers. Not only okay, we'll get to this. Go ahead.
All right, I will let you go. I just think Justin Fields is it's a piece. I know it's probably going to be unbiddable. It's not a drafted player. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another piece that has been just a beast.
Yep.
Cole Kmet, a guy the Avengers tried to get on waivers, but apparently we're behind. Now I apparently have to play him in the playoffs, which is another tight end bullshit. There is no way this Avengers roster, the way it has been performing, can beat this team. This is a Merci win, no question.
Which would definitely send you down to the consolation bracket and then fighting for
Got a chance to win first pick. I mean, I don't want to be there. Obviously, we're going to do everything in our power to win this game. We do believe in this roster on our side, but that is just a formidable foe.
Well, being through, I agree. He's played very well all year. So, and like you just said, Amon St. Brown, there's weapons there. Well, now that we've kind of gone through that, give me both brackets. In the toilet bowl and in the actual LOG playoff Pajuma Bowl, give me your 2 winners. Looking at matchups, looking at who's hitting who comes out on top in both, and then I'll give mine.
Well, we didn't prep for this. The toilet bowl. You're saying the winner, the team that ends up picking the first and number 1 pick. So that would include possibly the loser over here.
Yes.
But could be Daddy Young Pimp Sin or the loser on this side. I say the number 1 pick this year goes to Merci beaucoup.
Okay. I'm going to say the number 1 pick next year goes to the Zorros.
Ooh.
Who do you got winning it all? I know you had your money on the Fury, but are you standing behind it?
Not saying I would be 50-50 between Poway and Zorros right now, and I would slightly lean Poway. I know I wouldn't get as good odds, but I think I would also want to bet a little bit higher odds on Zorros because I think that's a good shot as well.
I think the Poway having that first round bye really helps here in that argument right there.
Yeah.
I know you're not going to like this. I'm taking the Avalon Avengers. I am taking the Avengers with that roster that maybe hasn't put it together every week this year, but looking at matchups and what's going on in trends, I'm taking the Avengers to win it all. LOGJAM forever.
Man, I appreciate that. I don't hate it. I love it. I hope it there's no way that could be a jinx. I would hope that's the case. But to everyone, good luck this week. That takes us to another segment we have not done in a couple weeks. Stands to reason we haven't done the show in 2 weeks. But our producer has been answering questions, been fielding tons and tons of emails from the group. But this is Mike Oxenfire. Email again, MikeOxenfire@gmail.com. We love to get your input. Anybody, you don't have to be in the league. You can be asking questions from out of the league or any of those kinds of things. But we'd love to get your input.
Sure. Like you said, that's the email address, and we're going to go ahead and I guess.
So this is the question we got over the hiatus. It was, what would you do in the title line? It comes from a concerned fan, and the follow-up questions. What would you do, Darren, for a Klondike bar?
They're delicious.
They're great
To start off with. Plus, they have multiple flavors. You can get like Reese's peanut butter.
Wait,
you
what?
Can get, like, mint. You can
you
get
get
like
Oreo Klondike bar?
cream,
Oh my
Oreo,
god, I would do a number of things for an
That's what I'm saying.
Oreo
I guess it
Klondike
depends
bar.
on which one we're talking about. But
I'm Oreo for
overall, I would give up the rights to Kyler Murray.
I can give up the rights to Kyler Murray for less than that. I mean, I would give up the. Was I going to outdo you with that?
No.
I would give up the for Klondike bar. I would for sure give up the rights to Daniel Bellinger. I would give up the rights to a number of non-keeper types. I don't think I would give up a keeper for Klondike bar.
No.
I would give up Cameron Dicker for Klondike bar.
I'd give up Butker.
I would give up any of them. Question number 2.
So wait a minute. You're giving up Dicker and you're giving up your Bucker?
Yes. It's a Hall of Fame type of thing if you're a Bears fan.
What would you do for 500 views on a podcast?
500 views. Well, that would be, I'd be willing to give up a little more. I'd probably go with
Well, listen.
another year of missing the playoffs.
Oh wow! I would give it 500 views on our podcast would be 71 times our expected viewership. There's 7 other people. Like 3 of us are fucking here. Only really 7 people should be watching this. The fact that we ever get like 18 or 19 is great. 500 views would be scary a little bit. But I would do it because then maybe it might be tangibly.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that could push us into new stratosphere of viewership. So I'd be willing to renegotiate the deal I have with Joel's mother.
Wow.
Maybe a smaller percentage.
Magnanimous of you. And the very last question: what would you do for one more fucking win? Please. Seriously. And in fairness, this email's dated 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Or a week ago when one more win gets you in was the premise behind it. A loaded question. So you might have a little bit different answer this week. I would answer anything.
Yeah, just about. Really, just about. You got to get to the dance. And no chip, no chair, no ship at the end. So I would say for one more win, I would give up like 4 years entry fee.
I would pay 4 years of it. I would need 3 more wins. I don't know what I would do for just one more win, but I would like to continue winning. That's it for this week's show. Next week is the Christmas show. We look forward to that a lot.
Yeah, that will be fun. Obviously we have a lot of fun during the Halloween episode and kind of coming up with little things there. But the Christmas episode's always fun because we come up with some personalized gifts.
Things we can give to each franchise. If you have ideas of what, maybe a wish list for your franchise, what we could possibly gift you, or possibly things that you might be thinking about getting other franchises, send them right on in to mikeoxenfire@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to go through them, get some fresh ideas for maybe some angles that you guys have on your competitors, or again, like Tom said, for your own team.
Maybe you're not in the league, you want to send somebody something to get them on their way.
That's a good idea too. Yeah, or just send us, full frontal nudes.
Or that. Yeah, why not?
We're here.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Oh yeah. Just in case you were wondering on the way out, we're going to talk about the newest Avenger, possibly general manager. This is Buddha Barker Maria. Welcome everyone.